Bruma, orvalho da manhã tão pura, brisa mansa, ternura, vale bom de viver. Vem sol, feliz vem lumiar, minas que banham mar, de água doce prazer. Bruma de Brumadinho se foi embora, seu povo chora, dor que dói demais. Cada olhar é lágrima, nuvem que pesa, mas a gente reza, implorando paz. Deus Pai, que tudo tão lindo fez, porque a insensatez destrói a vida sagrada. Valei, Senhor de tudo que existe, se o vale da morte insiste, vale não vale nada. Bruma de Brumadinho se foi embora, seu povo chora, dor que dói demais. Cada olhar é lágrima, nuvem que pesa, mas a gente reza, implorando paz. Esta es una canción que habla del dolor y también de la esperanza de nuestro trabajo en Brumadinho, Minas Gerais, Brasil.
to remember, memorize what happened, a tragedy which has devastated our people, nature, wilderness. And when I look at this video, it's always so difficult for me. I want to start crying. And here, even now, talking to you from Rome, I feel like crying. But it's an opportunity to show the world that what happened in Brumadinho. So 272 people who died in 1 minute with no protection at all. They told us everything was safe, the dam was safe, the mining sector told us, don't worry, everything is under control, everything is safe and safety, but that was not true. And we lost 272 lives, people who died. So we have to remember this memory. And then to try to reconstruct our cities, our families, our people who are suffering. They're still suffering today. And as church, our witness, our testimony is to pray for them, solidarity for them, but at the same time to report this case. We have to say that the problem is not only a financial problem, money, because reconstructing life is not only about money, because the capitalism, neoliberalism is not good. It kills people, our people. I can imagine for a person in Europe or in Northern America listening to this. I can imagine this, but our territory in Brazil and Latin America is a territory which used to be a colony. We are not independent to decide our future because we are subject to a sort of capitalism from multinationals. So we are a colony from multinationals dominating our land, our territory, and we have to act according to the multinationals' wishes. This is a serious problem. And me as a bishop working in Brumadinho, in that area, I believe it is not possible to think about a future without listening to the voice of the victims, of the family inflicted, the families of the people who died. And we have to have a clear strategy to do what is best. And unfortunately, the multinational think only about shareholders, and this is not good because money does not pay back people who died, does not pay back life. So we have to consider another way of thinking about the future. Thinking together with the indigenous communities, the local communities, the natives, with the family agriculture, for example, this is the future. Not only thinking about profit making, about multinationals, we have to reconstruct our land, our territory without thinking about money and thinking about the people in Brumadinho, and we have to do that. This is an important point for us. So memory, that is remember what happened, presence, religious presence there with prayers, rituals, and annunciation of a possible future, the future of Laudato Si, of Pope Francis, of integral ecology, thinking this in a very serious moment of our humanity. I always say that Brumadinho is not a local problem, it is a global problem. Because what happened when we think only about money, about profit and we don't think about life, people suffering, this is what happens. So what can we do with all these families suffering, the families who have lost a dear one? There are still 11 families who did not find the bodies of the people who died. The bodies are still missing, buried under the mud. It's a serious problem. So what can we do? And what about facing a culture which only wants to show the media and the world that everything is under control, everything is solved? No, it is not solved, and we have to solve this together. It's not a problem of a couple of people. It's global problems. We have to talk together, all together, and so we are all here in Rome, debating, having a lot of meetings about mining. We already had some. I am part of a network of church and mining, which is an international network by Rodrigo Franciscan. He is with me on this journey. He is a member of the Commission Integral Ecology Commission of the National Conference of the Bishops of Brazil. And I come also on behalf of our president, Tom Babor. He is my archbishop in Belo Horizonte, and he is president of the National Conference of the Bishops of Brazil. We are all together as a church. We are a body. And we start thinking about integral ecology. In Brazil, the world is there. So for us being here is to witness our presence in Brumadinho, and our voice so can be heard by other people from other countries, from other communities, religious communities or not religious communities, men and women of goodwill, thinking about the future of our planet, and that we as men and women who are responsible for the creation that God has given us as a gift, dear gift, and he has given us the vocation to work in order to continue the work of the creation of God. I believe that for many people it is not easy to listen to a bishop talking about problems concerning evangelization, but at the same time reporting crimes. It's not easy because many people think that bishops and priests, they only work in churches, they stay inside churches, and that's it. They just pray and that's it. No, but the true prayer of Jesus Christ is a prayer of conversion, a conversion prayer. So being a bishop means suffering with people, rejoicing with people in the name of the Good Shepherd who is Jesus. This is what I believe. And so I respect the sorrow and the pain of our people, but I cannot remain silent when I see so much pain and suffering. So I would like to say that it is not easy for a bishop who has a great responsibility, a lot of responsibility facing the community, vis-a-vis the community. It's not easy to say something, to talk about this great crime, this strong pain, and at the same time thinking with hope, starting from our Christian faith, thinking about the future with hope. It's not easy. It's a very difficult situation, and it's difficult to put together prayer and action because there are a lot of interests in this situation, economic interests, and it's not easy to manage it, to balance it. And we have to look at the gospel of Jesus Christ and the personal prayer and the community prayer for our action, which is a prophetic action, political and prophetic action. We have to change our way to relate to one another and to relate with the environment. To address the environment, we have to change this. After Rome, we will go to other international meetings. It's not easy to make a mental program or a program in the heart to say everything which I really wanted to say. It's not easy, but I bring my testimony, my witness. I live in Brumadinho. I am always faithful to my people. I always talk with emotion, with passion, with feelings of my people, and I am touched because now I'm here talking, and I know that many families there are suffering in Brumadinho, and they're still looking for the dead bodies of their dear ones, and they're trying to go ahead in life because depression is a big problem there, and there's a wound in the heart is big, a big wound, which is the wound of the heart cannot be healed with money. So spirituality is important, our presence is important, our testimony, our witness, that is, we fight together. But don't forget to pray. Pray for me, for my brothers, for Brother Rodrigo, who is here. Pray for all the religious of the entire world. Pray for the people who try to change things in a better way, looking from a different angle at integral ecology. And don't forget, never forget to remember, to make memory of these 272 people who died. Don't forget these people. They are the new martyrs of our humanity. Martyrs of unfortunately, of profit, of capitalism. This should not happen again in other cities, in other people, in other families. We pray God to be strong, so that in the name of the gospel of Jesus Christ, with the spirit of life animating us, especially in this time of conversion, in Lent, so we can continue hoping a better future of our people, especially in Brumadinho. The people are there expecting me to go ahead with other people, with the Archdiocese of Belo Horizonte, and with the Archbishop Don Rabur, and the Commission of Integral Ecology of the National Conference of Bishops in Brazil. They're all expecting me. With them, we have to give them a hope to go ahead in life and to bring evidence to the world, but at the same time announcing the gospel of life and reporting death, the people who died, and people in Brazil are suffering, and also in Latin America and all over the world. So I thank you all and bless you. God, may God bless you always.
Very much, Bishop, for that heart-rending story and plea for us to listen to our own hearts and to connect in some way to the story and to the people, the lives of the people that are in Brumadinho. And I think your witness and your care and your compassion is very obvious as you tell that story to us, and how you prepared to tell that story to others on your journey in Europe. And also those who are listening to your story and who will be listening to the recording will bring this forward and try to find a way to move in a different way, not in a consumeristic way, not in a materialistic way, but in a way that's strong of relationship. I think we can move a little bit to our brother Rodrigo to share a little bit more about what are some specifics that we could be doing, as well as sharing with us his own journey, because he has been really at the heart of much of the networking that has been taking place throughout the globe regarding our concerns for mining. So if you hold off with your questions and let Rodrigo have an opportunity to share his story and where he sees us going with all of this. Thank you, Rodrigo.
In Brazil to listen myself.
I believe that for us in religious consecrated life, it is a great challenge, this issue of the use of the goods, of the assets, of the common goods, which are called natural resources by some people. We, together with the superior generals and the JP Commission, Justice and Peace and Integration of the Creation, since 2012, we are involved in trying to understand the phenomenon of destruction of wilderness, of nature, and the exploitation of nature. Terrible. And the capitalism all over the world is doing this. Last year, we had a seminar here in Rome with JPIC and mining. The idea was to think, what can we do? What actions to take from the point of view of us consecrated people all over the world? How can we respond from our faith, from our point of view, within a vision, as Monsignor Vicente said, a church which is going out together with the prophetic people is trying to face this challenge. A church going forth. There is a document by the United Nations that is the use of natural resources. This document from 2019, it's a reflection which dates back from the past. And there are 3 points which are important to have an idea of what is going on. The use of natural resources tripled since the 1970s, and it is still growing. In 2012, more or less 92 million tons of extraction, global extraction from mining. So do you see this figure which tripled since 1970, tripled, but the world population doubled. So it means 2 times the growth, but the mining activities 3 times, the GDP 4 times the gross domestic product. These figures are interesting. This means that the use of natural resources, and these are common goods, common assets, and the benefits and the environmental impact is spread unevenly in an unbalanced way in the world. The per capita material income is 60% higher instead the average income, and 3 times the level of the lower income. So there is an uneven distribution of the resources. So the environmental impact per capita in richer countries is 3 times higher than the poorer countries. This means that the world is just for few people, for the rich. And we know that this planet was not done just for us. We are part of the planet. Nature is part of the planet. Everything is interconnected, and we have the task to care of the common home. If we see the international subdivision of work and world production, we see the main role that it plays, especially vis-a-vis the poorer countries and the richer countries concerning the common goods. The common goods are managed by states and capital. So that's the main reason. What Bishop Vicente said is crystal clear in Brazil. The government, which is connected with corporations, with multinationals, dominating the territory. You can find the same example in other parts of the world where there's mining extraction. That is, the governments depending on mining. So this is part of the economy. Concerning only mining economy and dependency. So what is the future in Brumadinho? Therefore, it's the power of the company, which is there. All agreements are made, are drafted, being criminal agreements, controlling the area. We call it a crime because people die and people are exploited and the country is exploited, the land is exploited, and the dam had all the structures of the company there. Everything was there, the cafeteria, on the place of the rupture of the dam. So the governments have widened their mining frontiers, creating damage to the local natives, local population. And so this we know from our brothers and sisters who are there in these territories, in the land, living with their communities and local churches. So what can we do in order to give a response, an answer? There is an international organization which we call mining, and we have a forum. We as JPIC are talking about it. We are articulating it concerning the participation. This means that we will not find an answer which comes from us, but we will find an answer together with the people inflicted, the people involved, with the people suffering, with the people fighting against destruction of this lifestyle. And also with the people of goodwill cooperating, who are trying to find solutions and stepping out from this exploitation model of the planet. So right now we are debating to start up a campaign for the right to say no. This means not only the right by the indigenous native communities according to the International Convention of the OIT, more than that. It's the people living in those territories. They have the right to participate active in the destiny of their lives concerning the environment and their lifestyle. Of course, we have to make a change, a shift in lifestyle, a shift in the economic sector, in the economy. We hope with Pope Francis, who is calling us to talk about economics and economy of Francis of Assisi. We have a document which we call economics or economy of Clare and St. Francis, St. Clare and St. Francis. That is in economics and economy with not a face of man only, but an economy with a face of a female, because we have to make this shift. That the example, the Archdiocese of Belo Horizonte in the Episcopal Brazilian Conference, they are involved and committed with the Monsignor President, Monsignor Valmon, and with other regions in Brazil. They are engaged in order how to respond to the challenges, the challenge of caring of the common home, the challenge of working for justice, for restoring families, fighting against crimes. And they said, I believe that we have to understand forgiveness. When we talk about crimes or outrage, this means like a judgment, a sentence. Somebody has to pay for the crimes, because this establishes the relationships. And to conclude, I say that we in the network, church and mining all over America, we are more or less 70 organizations working together, analyzing the mining issue, and we are starting up a campaign of disinvestment in mining. We know there are many resources there, also from religious life, congregations. They invest in the mining sectors, even churches who are investing there. It's an ecumenical network, which I'm talking about. So we have many challenges to face. And after this the meeting in September, that we had in September, we are more prepared to find a solution, the answers, to activate other groups and networking. This year, we are thinking to start up a dialogue, a debate in Africa, a dialogue for a network for church and mining in Africa. This is our idea. Those who are listening to us, even from different religious groups or different dioceses, our idea is to try to connect ourselves, to make a connection. We have a little group, it's like the heart of the matter. And then we will have a meeting in Southern Africa, to make a step forward in this new network. And I think we all religious men and women are all invited to participate. Of course, here with Sister Sheila, she can be a bridge in this work. And myself, we will try to serve the brothers and sisters in the care for the common home. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Rodrigo, for taking us on a journey of trying to put some pieces together on a map, on a road, to try to make a difference in the lives of people. Some concrete suggestions, also involving the global picture in terms of the necessity of trying to find a way to make a difference. I have to say that the mining companies are also listening to this and wondering what is it that they need to do. And one of the representatives of the mining company said that they are trying to be more solicitous in the consulting piece because of the pushback on mining and on the publicity, and negative publicity that they are receiving, that they need to make a difference. And that they are saying not only to consult, but also to participate. And so often the word consult means we consult, but then we do whatever we think is important for us and for our stakeholders. So really getting to be at the table and talking through a number of these issues is really important, as well as the ability to look at what would be the advantages for a community. And if the advantages are not there, if the pollution is there, if there's no way of rejuvenating the land that's being used, all of these areas are important, and the ability to say no as a part of the consultation is an important way to go forward, to have people listen to what it is that's important for them. Also, there was a meeting on the same day honoring the anniversary, the 1-year anniversary of the tragedy at Brumadinho. It was the mining CEOs in mining, and they talked about their efforts to deal with the tailings, and that they really are going to try not to have any tailing dams, so to go forward as a result of this tragedy. But the CEO is saying, one of the CEOs are saying, but the difficulty is in the challenge and how complex that would be, and also to establish trust that the companies would actually do this for the people with whom they serve. So I just would put that question to you, and then we will ask those who are listening if they have any questions or comments as well. Okay. So first answer the question on trust, and then we will go to the person online. So if they said to you, we are trying to do this on the tailings, but how can we prove to you that we're trustworthy about this event? And not only for the first steps, because once it starts, it's going to be a way to go, but how can trust be an element that's seriously considered?
We are aware that ICMM, Principles Responsible Investment, and the United Nations Environmental Program, they are together discussing standards for tailing dams, not to withdraw of building tailing dams. This happened right after Brumadinho collapse, because they were really targeted by public opinion and also by investors. It's the third. If we see Canada, if we see Brazil, twice in Brazil. So we think that's not an issue of only standards. It's not an issue of techniques, even though the techniques of constructions and to set standards for those mines, for those dams are important, for the future dams are important. But we can't reduce the mining issue as an issue of tailing dams. The tailing dams exists because mining exists, because of the extractions. I think there are other huge discussions in terms of the rhythms and the taxes of extraction. Who imposed them? The market, the financial system, the investments, and the results and the profits from the investments. If we see and remember the figures that I showed at the beginning of my talk, saying that the extraction tripled of natural resources, the extraction of natural material resources tripled, while the population just doubled. It means something is wrong. The necessities are one, and consumerism that is driven by artificial necessity to impose to people. And you know, where is the 80% of the waste in the world? Most in the North Hemisphere. So it's extremely concentrated. So we don't believe that setting seals of responsible mining or certificates to this and that mining, it will make a solution. It's an interesting step. Yes. It's an important step. Yes. But it's not sufficient because it keeps business as usual.
Thank you, Rodrigo, for bringing that perspective to a whole new level and another way of looking at what is being proposed as a way to deal with an issue. And as you said, that's only one of an issue, and it's about relationships. That's the important thing that needs to be considered. Bishop, you want to comment on that as well, please?
I would like to add one point. After the tragedy of this crime, I saw that mining and multinationals continue in the territory to divide communities, to split communities, because many people do no longer trust in security, in safety, in proposals, because after the tragedy, the rupture, they don't no longer trust. So there's a matter of trust. It's a problem of trust, of confidence, serious problem, because if we watch on TV every day, people saying that that reparation and restoration have been going on as if this were something good. Oh, we are giving this to the people of Brumadinho. We're trying to repair the dam. No, but they're not doing anything. They are trying to repair the damage that they caused. It's a matter of marketing. Marketing and the market, unfortunately, is in favor of capitalism, of profit, and they are saying this is good, works, And our people continue being separated, split. And we as church, our greatest difficulty is trying to put together the communities in order to think about common goals, not individual goals. I made a lot of money because I invested. No, 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 no. Think about a different way of activities, of action, including mining. It's important problem. So the issue is about trust and confidence. I believe that with mass media and working together and showing just the reparation, the restoring of the dam is not enough to make our people overcome their sorrow. I think it is important to talk about this, talking about the victims, the people who died, not talking about what the multinationals are doing in order to repair the dam. And many people, even my brothers, who live in another part of Brazil, they tell me, oh, but the multinationals are repairing everything. This is the picture that they are trying to show. And I tell you, if you go to Brumadinho, go to protect, go to visit the families who are suffering and the people who are there. And you will see that people are not repaired, quote unquote. So the problem here is confidence and trust. I do not trust in this type of exploitation of nature, of wilderness. After this situation, I started a process of conversion because I too am shocked for something I was told that was supposed to be good, but then this thing, which supposed to be good, killed 272 people. So the image was beautiful of mining, and now no, it's a bad trend, mining trend. The trend or the train bringing wealth, what does it leave to us, dead people? So we say in Brazil, the train coming empty and going back full of mining pieces, extracts. It's a matter of trust. Cities which have mining caves are poor. They don't have good hospitals, these cities. They don't have good schools. How can we win over the trust of people for this type of exploitation, bringing wealth, richness, but killing people at the same time? And Brazil today, Brother Rodrigo, you know, our poverty is because we are a rich country with rich resources. This is our problem in Brazil. We are a country which is rich in resources, but therefore are poor people who are not independent, because we have everywhere multinational exploiting the territory. And this is what I think. And talking about trust and confidence, we have to report the damage. And my brother Redemptorist here said, how can we talk about peace without justice? It's not possible. Peace together with justice. justice and peace go together.
Heart and the contagiousness that message really engenders with the listeners. It's very, very important to have that. I think Sister was saying there's a question online, so could we have that, could we go to that person to raise that question? Thank you.
Oh, may I? Hello?
Yeah, you can ask.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Father Aris Miranda of the Camilians. Thank you very much for that heartbreaking testimony of Bishop Ferreira and, of course, the talk of Brother Rodrigo. We Camilians, we have also communities mission in Belo Horizonte, and we have several religious coming from Minas Gerais. Yeah, more often I heard and read about the impact of mining on the communities, but very few speak and denounce causes of the mining disasters. Bishop, from your experience, how do you confront the causes of this disaster apart from information dissemination? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can you repeat the name?
Aris Miranda.
Ah, Miranda, from?
From the Philippines.
Ah, from the Philippines.
Yeah.
Muchas gracias, Miranda.
It's a serious problem for us because our evangelization work is charity work. And we cannot expect to be always talking about what we do all the time, you know, very well, even in the gospel from yesterday, the left hand, what the left hand does, the right hand should not know, and vice versa. But we have to compare communication, official communications from these multinationals showing to the people the work of the church. It's not easy because many people think that we are important because we are in the mass media world, our image. I believe that I talk on behalf of the victims and starting to talk about the victims. With my voice, I want to give voice to the victims who can no longer talk, or to their families. And in my prayer, I talk with God, and I always pray to God that I can always talk about and talk and thinking about the victims. The news and, you know, multinationals have a strong power in the media sector. They always show the good parts, beautiful things. But my mission as bishop, as missionary, is to talk at the international level about the sorrow and the pain of our people. This is a way of working, handling a serious problem. I hope I answered your question. I hope so.
Thank you.
Parishioners in your parish. And so the balance is, how do you talk to both of them? And then how do you have them talk to one another? Is there any movement going on where both sides are trying to come together and have a conversation for the common good?
Esta é uma...
It's a difficult issue, as Father Rodrigo said, mining is one single source of survival in Brumadinho. If you're against saying something against mining is not easy, because even the family of the people who died, it's not easy to make them understand or to make them face the problem. I myself am very crystal clear when I speak out. I say it's a crime, it's an outrage, and we have to report this to the world. But for many people, it's not easy to understand because they too work in the mining sector, and I respect them because mining can do good things for people, but the damage is greater. We have to think that way if we really want to build a different future, because we will go ahead, we will pass, and what do we leave for our future generations? So what I am feeling as a bishop, this conversation process will also pass. And so it's impossible for me continue thinking the way I used to think in Brumadinho now. And many people today want to imagine to continue as I did in the past in Brumadinho, but it's not possible. For example, many people want to go back to the life they carried out before, a peaceful life, but it's no longer possible. Brumadinho is now an issue, a problem, international problem for many reasons. This is my point of view. And me as pastor, what can I do? Working with the people who do not like what I say. It's not easy to work with these people, but I respect these people, even though they don't understand. I always love everyone, all the families. I know people who are starting not agreeing with what I say, but when they ask me, why do you act the way you do? And I say, because this is what I know. This is the only way that I am able to go ahead, that is to report the tragedy, and as of course celebrating mass and etc. This is an important point of my ministry, but things are not separate. That is, justice and peace go together. We, as religious, you know very well, it's not easy to put together gospel with social justice. In Brazil, it's very difficult. Many groups are radically against a political speech of the Church of Religious Life. I don't know about the rest of the world, but in Brazil, there is this problem when a bishop starts talking about reporting crimes. When I am in the streets walking, talking to the people, protesting, they don't like it. People feel uncomfortable. And people start saying, oh, this bishop, he is from the left party, he is communist. And I say, no, I am from the gospel of Jesus' life. This is my life, the text of my life. I always bring with me the word of the Lord, the gospel of Jesus Christ. We know in Latin America and in Brazil that prophets do not have a brilliant future. And we are trying to go back to a church of martyrdom. I always say this, the martyrs. There are many martyrs, including the native people, the indigenous, the religious people, men and women who are being persecuted in the name of the gospel of Jesus Christ, not in the name of a political party, but in the name of faith, saying that Jesus is our journey, our life for all, and for an appeal by Pope Francis, our church inviting us to go ahead facing the new problem, which is integral ecology. For me, it is crystal clear, but I also love my opponents. And if it is possible, I talk to them. I pray for them always so they may convert.
The words they say about you, they've said about Pope Francis. So you're in good company there, that's for sure. Okay, so it's difficult. We're looking for how can we advocate? What is it the concrete way that we can move forward together? That's why this conversation is coming forth to you. Okay, we have another person online. Please, the question.
I'm wondering if you know ways, just the principle that multinational companies are not always the only groups that need to be reached in terms of harms that can be done from mining operations. So do you know of any ways or examples of how church actors or church people can reach to non-state armed actors who sometimes control mines and profit from them to fund violent conflict? For example, criminal organizations that are transitioning into gold mining instead of drug trafficking, which I'm more familiar with that phenomena as something happening in places like Colombia and Mexico. And so maybe our panelists from Brazil, maybe this isn't as much of an issue there, but I know in other areas of Latin America it is. And so I'm just wondering if you might be able to speak to how the church might be able to address that dimension of mining problems.
Well, I think that this is a big issue. I think we need first to just remember one of the big tasks that we have, which is related to the narratives. The narrative regarding mining and what's being sold to the people as a necessity, which is real. Everything we have come from extraction, but it's not sufficient well explained to the people the impacts and what's happening. And as Vicente just said, the price of it that is paid by the communities is very high in terms of the impacts and the human rights violations. So this is one issue. And here, we've talked a lot about the companies. We also deal with the issue of the states in terms of governance. And here, it's where one of the problems happens. The power of the companies and the possibilities of high investments, even though can be no corruption, which is normally happens, the state consider the companies as partners, and then population stay in the second, in a kind of a second level of in the process, in this decision process. It regards also how property is considered in different countries, and of course, because of the power of the companies in the territories, in the decisions, we have what we could say territories within territories that lives with the absence of the presence of the state. And then we have criminal groups acting. And normally with what is considered illegal mining. Which is a very interesting discussion to be done in terms of what is legal and what is illegal, when we see that the process itself is full of illegalities, and the impacts that they bring are almost criminal. When you talk about criminal organizations controlling territories, we're talking about a lot of the issue of poverty and the absence of social public policies and infrastructures that really goes to the poor. If we see in Africa, the common goods from Africa, how they enter in Europe easily, and how the African people die in the Mediterranean trying to come in, it's an example to say that something is wrong. The wealthy from Africa, it's been accumulated outside Africa. So the possibilities of groups controlling areas increases in this situation. I would say that one of the ways to control, of course, I think, as Vicente said, we don't have the answers. We are trying to find the answers together with the communities. Empowerment of the people in the territories is one of the ways to try to overcome lots of legal and illegal situations that are harming populations and the environment. The other one is how to guarantee effective access to justice and for the victims that had their rights violated, and also how to make companies, government, accountable, really accountable. We have a problem since the beginning, the process. What do the population know about what's happening in their place? When you talk about public hearings or previous consentment from the community, but for previous consentment, free consentment from the population, they need to have good, precise, clear, and truth information. This is another issue, extremely problematic. The other one is how we can create, and I think this is through also people's participation, and of course democracy is extremely strong, objective and very well done monitoring systems and investigations that come from the denounces that are made from the people. If we see what's happening now, I'll just get the example of Brazil, and I think it's interesting for understand what I'm saying. Since 2016 coup, where was this parliamentary, mediatic, and judicial impeachment of Dilma Rousseff, Temer became president, and now with Bolsonaro, all the Brazilian human rights legislation system and environmental protection laws are being destroyed and being dismantled, insisting in what we could call artisanal mining in some places, but illegal mining, trying to find ways to legalize those places. we know that behind a lot of illegal mining in many places of the world, there are the big companies behind. This is another issue, even those places where those gangs are acting. Third issue is when you take out the possibility of the people, where the institutions are getting weak. If you, right now in Brazil, there's a campaign headed by the Brazilian President Bolsonaro and some army generals for an anti-National Brazilian Congress demonstration on March 15. You can imagine what does it mean? Against our constitution. And how can we talk about democracy when the militaries are taking over and are subverting the system? We have three powers, and all those three powers are independent. This is our system. Kind of a more well-recognized in the Western countries. So it's difficult to separate. But the issues of those paramilitary groups or those gangs in extractive areas, it's not an issue of only extractivism. If you go to the poor areas in the peripheries of the cities, in all Latin America, you're gonna find what? Those groups. So it's something has to do with the state itself, with the possibilities of population in terms of participation, extremely connected to the issue of democracy and participation. Empower the people in the areas, give the people the voice and the capacity to design together sustainable development and also their dignity. I think it's there. Of course, it's not the full answer. There are much more other issues that are together. But what we try to do is to approach the communities and try through the necessities and the realities connected with different other groups and social movements, try to find the ways for dialogue with the different sectors.
Thank you, and I think our person who questioned is really up early in the morning for this, so we thank him for his interest. And I think part of it is that we don't really know all of the answers, but at least now we're giving a narrative, and that we hope that in our narrative we will have to look at all of the components of these problems, but only when we have a better understanding and know how we can be together. That's important. Bishop, did you have a comment you would like to make as well?
I would like to add one point. In 2015, the tragedy Mariana, Brazil, 2015, Minas Gerais. Mariana is close to Brumadinho. 4 years after, there was another tragedy, another crime. So this matters a lot for us. In a few years, 2 tragedies. We are wondering what will be the next tragedy, not when, but which one will be the next tragedy, the next crime. We can also say whether there will be a tragedy, a third tragedy or not. But we believe that there will be a third tragedy. This is our gut feeling. As Rodrigo said, now that we have all the legislations shut down and we do not know whether to turn to justice, to the public power, but all this is in the hands of the multinationals, companies. We don't have a strong government in Brazil now. Also in the past, not only now. It's an ongoing process. we have to remember this. What is for example, in Mariana, mining activity started again, approved by the people, by the local people. After the tragedy, they approved to go on with mining because they needed to work, and communities continue without safety in Mariana. And we are in touch with the families in Mariana. So that tragedy happened in 2015, and in 2019, Brumadinho tragedy. When is going to be the next tragedy and where? It's just a matter of time, because those who are repairing, fixing the dams with problems, we don't know what they are really doing. Are they really fixing the dams? And we have more dams in Brazil, which are even more dangerous. It's a terrible problem for us. So it is not enough just to pray. Pray to God to free us from this evil. Yes, praying, I pray every day, but praying alone is not enough. We have to act, do something else. And this is what I am doing now, even talking about it. And another important point is networking creation. As Rodrigo said, network, social movement networking like church, mining, integral ecology, international networks as well, to guarantee another narrative. So not only multinationals are dialoguing, but we too through networks. I talked a lot. I apologize.
It's important things, and that's what matters. Thank you for that. I have a question. You know, we have Greta Thunberg really working very strong on climate issues, you know, climate change and connecting globally. Is this issue related to mining? Do the young people see this also as a problem that needs to be addressed that's causing really the changes in the climate due to the devastation of the land?
Father Rodrigo is.
We can make a connection. There is a connection between my answer before and now this question. It's connected. We know that Amazonia, the Amazon, is very important concerning climate change, the climate issue. Being open, the opening of mining process in Amazonia is big problem, big issue. We don't have time, but it would be good to show the maps that we have the areas of natural reserves and the areas of reserves of indigenous people and the areas, the mining area. And we can think about the areas where the multinationals, the companies want the right to do mining. That's so terrible. And you will see the images combined. It's a complete destruction. And we know the impact that this mining issue has caused and will cause. Coal mining as well is a problem all over the world, in Brazil, in southern Brazil, in the state of Rio Grande do Sul, near Porto Alegre, a great exploitation area of coal mining. Mining near the city. This impact is strong. Mining plays its role. Mining is part of the industry that is mining products industry, which are then changed in converted into consumer goods. And if this grows, this means that we are not thinking about the circular economy. So that's the great challenge. Restoring economy, circular economy, where we can use, we have to use more things that we already have. So together with the Catholic Global Climate Movement and this investment issue, very interesting. The issue of the environment is a bigger issue, but mining impacts. We are talking about the crime, starting from this event, this crime in a specific place. This is our starting point. But on a daily basis, mining has an environmental impact, toxic products, destruction of water, impact in vegetables, forests, daily impact. People are being poisoned on a daily basis. This is not visible. Some people tell me, sister, you are very, no, some people tell me I am very negative thinking, I am pessimistic. No, I'm not a negative thinker, I'm not pessimistic, because people say capitalism and neoliberalism is good because it brings good things for mankind, for humanity. I say with science, for 1/3 of the world population, because 2/3 of the world population do not know the benefits of it. That's true. That's science. 2/3 of the world population do not see the benefits from our world system, which we call globalization or neoliberalism. What Rodrigo said, it's true. These are problems which cannot be solved at a local level. These are global problems. Another example, the coronavirus problem. We are all scared, even here. It's not a local problem, it's a global problem. We have to think globally because we live in a global community. Things happen all over the world globally. That was just one example. The problem of water, of air pollution, these are problems, global problems. Brumadinho is a global problem as well, and we have to think globally. This is just to tell you that I am not pessimistic, I'm not negative, I am realistic. I have a lot of hope that we can change our way of living on this planet, because 2/3 of the world population is suffering a type of consequence: no water or polluted air, or sorrows, or without hope, because people who have money, who are rich in Brumadinho, the poor people, even the rich people are suffering in their heart because money does not buy happiness. And I say, who takes care of the pain in the heart? Multinationals don't do it. Don't think about this shock. It's an existential shock of life motivation. What will I do without my son, my husband? I am rich, but what will I do with this money? And I no longer have my husband. So suicide is also a big issue, a serious problem. It was not a problem in Brumadinho in the past, but it is starting to be a problem now. People who committed suicide, it's a global problem. We have to face this because in richer countries there are a lot of suicides, but also now, also there, because of lack of motivation, lack of hope, we continue living with machinery, the same way of working. I did not want to leave you an image of a pessimistic bishop. I am not negative. I have hope that, but we have to change a lot of things in our society, and I have hope that we will change. These things not only belong to Brumadinho, but it's global problems. We are all connected, like the coronavirus, which is now a problem, showing the global community which we are, whether Latin American, Africans, North Americans, we are brothers and sisters. We have to start learning to live in a global planet. We no longer have frontiers. It's a globalized world, and this problem has to change our way of thinking. It's not a philosophical, theological issue. It's a real issue. We live in a globalized society, and many problems are global problems, and we have to work globally for a brighter future.
I think you've said that very well, and you are encouraging us to remember that that's what we have to do. It's not just one section. Where I was also going was with the youth. How is the youth involved in this issue in a way that's globalized? For example, there was one kind of announcement that one of the youth from London on the WhatsApp, which is their way of communicating, when the fires were raging in Brazil, was giving a message of compassion. What can we do to help you? So it was the way of the youth reaching out to one another. So I was wanting to know if, because of the destruction of the Amazon through the mining, if the youth also are including the mining issue, not just the fires, but and the single crops, but mining as an important climate issue that we need to look at. So it's the youth. Are they there with us?
It's a big issue, important topic, interesting because the group, the team by Vincente in Brumadinho, by Bishop Vicente, the working team, it's all young people, it's all youth. It's a group, the working group from the pastoral. Can you talk about them? First thing I say about this co-participation is that it's important now being here for us. You invited us to talk, very important for us to talk and share our fight, our work. It's a great support for us. because we sometimes feel lonely, abandoned, because we think it's a hard fight. And being here and talking and sharing with you, it's very important for us. Creating more opportunities, not only for Brumadinho, but for other people as well. Rodrigo and myself, we have a dream to bring people to places to be heard, the families of the victims as well. But going back to the problem concerning work in the territory, we have a team made up of young people, a young team. I wanted to remind you that young men and women, the presence of women is important, young ladies. As Rodrigo said, ladies are always facing difficult issues. Love comes also from women till the very end. They always stay like the woman at the foot of the cross was there alone, Mary. The same thing happens in our territory. The perseverance and hope of new life comes from women, from ladies who are suffering a lot because of the prejudice, the extraction of mining, destruction caused by mining, sorry. It's a problem of macho men, of men, caused by men. It's not a problem of women, of ladies. They are tender, they know how to take care of home and also common home. They take care of the garden, of the backyard. And now we have a team of young people, of youth, very good workers. However, there are not many. That's another problem. We have to consolidate and in order to enhance the number of people working with us, the people I know. I think if we have a form of cooperation from you, sure, we can include in order to consolidate the work of our team.
We have one more question online and then we'll be able to close. Okay, the next question, please.
Hola, hoy Don Vicente and Rodrigo. This is
hello. I am Andrew. Hello, Father Vicente.
From the London Mining Network. It's great to hear you. My question is about the issue of engagement. Given that a lot of the people that we are dealing with in the mining industry have been proven to be acting criminally, how do we engage with this criminal behavior? And do we engage with them? What is our strategy in terms of how we try to change this behavior? Do we just throw them in prison and throw away the key, or what do we do? Thank you.
Rodrigo, ¿quieres responder?
I start and then I pass to Vicente. I think you're right. It's become a kind of a criminal organizations. One thing is true: impunity must stop. So they have to be accountable for what they do, responsibilized and charged. If it's the case, condemned. And they have to go through all this as anyone. So this is something that can give a little bit of more responsibility and guarantees. I think to engage, we can engage in all kinds of dialogues and negotiations. First of all, we need to consider if we are representing the wills of, because there are different levels of to get in for the engagement. We can get involved and engaged from a research perspective. We can get involved on a more theoretic discussion and dialogue. But people are willing to negotiate, especially those who are suffering the impacts. So we come again with the same idea, together with the communities, giving them voice and following them. This is one process. I think the other process, which is in our kind of process, I would say, is extremely important to understand the strategies the mining company and also the investors have, you know, because this is not an innocent environment where there are a lot of interests. You know, maybe the interests of the people are more immediate. They're losing land, they're losing their health, they're losing their beloved ones, they are being poisoned, the environment we can see is being harmed and impacted. But the companies, they have strategies, they have plans. So to engage in this arena is extremely important. The connections that we have in different parts of the world, as Vicente was saying. I just want to remember our Miranda that in the Philippines, IPCM, the International People Conference on Mining, they will have an assembly in July, and also group the Asia Pacific Gathering on Human Rights and Extractivism. They decided to hold, we're not sure, also in this month, around August or September, I'm not sure, another meeting. So in those meetings, together with different groups and interacting, working in networking, I think we can be more aware of what's going on and to be more effective and sit down among us, all those groups who are, and this is the issue, and the will of the Thematic Social Forum, and the work of London Mining. The London Mining Network is an important partner in all this international level of understanding of mining companies and which are the projects and the strategies and programs and so forth, because you guys are dealing with different issues from different parts of the world regarding to UK companies. So I think it's like the Pope says, everything is interconnected. So I think interconnectivity, it's the base. And then of course the different approaches, but always together and not in place of the people.
Buenos dias, Andrew.
Buenos dias.
Good morning, Andrew. Thank you very much. I believe, as Rodrigo said, that we need always a conversion process. I always make this example. Till January 25, 2019, I did not know. And I studied philosophy, theology, religion, science. I know the reality. Well, this is what I thought before January 25, 2019. I did not know the networking about mining and integral ecology. And now I can say that my conversion process makes me meet a lot of people in working in the sector in Brazil and all over the world. Therefore, I believe, Andrew, that the first thing is to walk together with the people, to be together with the people who are sharing the same pain, the same sorrow, or from the crime from these companies, and share with all our fight and our faith, with our faith. This can no longer be isolated. It has to be done together. My evidence, my testimony that there are a lot of people working bigger group, smaller group, and promote these types of meeting is so important for us, including also with so many people who would like to help us. It is necessary also help those people who train and form, and thinking about the fact that the resources that we have will bring about victims, unfortunately. It is not easy to manage all this, even with people of goodwill, because they have to know what will happen. All this is not easy for us. Our local church in Belo Horizonte, in Brumadinho, our commission of integral ecology, also in the name of Father Sebastian. He is the president of our commission, Father Sebastian. He works in Maranhão, northeast Brazil. We are all committed and in harmony with the poor people in order to try to change the situation a bit, and to be in touch with us also through virtual networks, Facebook, social, Instagram, social networks, etc. We're all connected. This means that we're all working together for the same people. And Sister Sheila, there are many good things. When I was traveling, thinking about airplanes or the internet, it's all fruit of our present day world, capitalism. That's good. It's not a problem for us. It's good to travel safely and technology, medicine, but it has to be for all, not just for a few. We are all brothers and sisters. Why do I have the privilege as bishop to fly, to travel, to get to know the world, and my brothers continue without the same opportunity that I have? Why? This is what we have to think. It is better when all have the same opportunities, including nature will be happier. This is what I think. This is what I believe. And I wanted to share this with you. So I'm not negative. I'm not pessimistic. Hope for all. I believe that the rich people do not have to pay a price, because they will have to pay a price in the future for all that destruction. However, if we all work together, we all will be happier, all, including the earth. Mother Earth will be happier.
Vicente and also Rodrigo for coming and spending this time with us. It was very important for us to hear your message, to have a relationship with you. And now when we think about Brumadinho, we have faces to put with that. And that's really, really important. This has been recorded, and in a couple hours it will be available for those, for others to really listen to it. It will be on our website, jpicroma.org. We will get that information out. This is the first meeting of the JPIC and Mining Network, who met in September and whose statement was drafted in 5 languages, posted on the website at the Synod and also in the Amazonian website. So we have been continuing on. And what we had proposed to do was to continue integral conversations on ecology, to be active with the church and with the victims in particular, to build bridges and facilitate connections between different communities, to join our voices and engage in continuing advocacy, to contribute and complement the work of faith-based organizations, and to understand and broaden and deepen our understanding of the issues related to mining. So that's the purpose of our group. I think you heard that today, and we will continue on with that message. So again, thank you for being here, and for all the participants who joined us, for our interpreter, Maria Teresa, and also Teresa, who was our technical assistant, and our brother Armando for introducing his dear brother to us. So thank you, all of you. And as the Pope would say, buon pranzo, for sure, for many of us. God bless.
And God bless you.